Hi, Saravjot. How are you today?
I'm good, Shailaja. Thank you.
So, how's it going?
It's a little unsettling, and you know what's happening between the two countries, and me living in a city which is closer to the border states of Punjab. We are also on a high alert, and so it's a time when you have to be patient and you have to be just very aware and yet keep doing what we are doing. So just trying to be on that road.
Now, how are you feeling as you share this?
I think that it's a good. I'm happy that I'm having this conversation with you and I didn't cancel it because it's all resulting in this form of overwhelm and because it's a new experience for the children. Their schools and colleges are closed, so they're wondering as to what's going to happen and so many questions and so I think that if I were to say what am I feeling now, it's like I'm feeling fine, I'm calm, but sometimes it gets overwhelming because we are used to a certain pace in life, and when that pace is affected because of X reasons, uh, it takes a while to adapt.
I hear you, and all I can say is hang in there.
Thank you.
So, this session is being recorded and it's going to be for 40 minutes. It's your safe and confidential space, other than the fact that I will be passing this recording to my mentor and for my mentor's review. And so I invite you to share your thoughts and feelings openly. And as there will be no biases, judgments, or assumptions held during the conversation. If at any time, if at any time you are uncomfortable during the session, let me know. I will change its course.
Okay.
And just so that we stay on track in the interest of time, and uh, I find that you have veered from the topic, I will let you know.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, so what would you like to explore in the time that we have together?
So, Shailja, I want to talk about vulnerability today. And I'm beginning to realize of late that this is something that I'm not very comfortable with. While I while I provide a space for others to be vulnerable, whether it's through my profession uh, or through various roles I play in my personal life, I myself am not able to be in that state. It's not easy for me to share what I feel or what I experience. I don't know how that shows up in my expressed behavior, but within me, the belief is that it's not something which comes easy.
Mhm.
And why this becomes something which is concerning is because I feel that of late I'm noticing, uh, the overwhelm I was talking about a little earlier in the conversation when we just started off. That overwhelm stems from the inability to be vulnerable and share. So I end up trying to take the responsibility of processing everything, all emotions and thoughts within myself. And so it kind of gets linked in some way or the other. While I'm able to handle the overwhelm because I notice it, I know the triggers, I understand the triggers, but that whole process is very draining. So I thought I'll just use this space with you today and talk about that. where is this really coming from? Or is it something uh, which comes in the way for me to be vulnerable or to talk about what I'm going through? Or is it just a nature, the kind of person I am? And in either states, what's the best I can do?
Mm. Saravjot, what does vulnerability mean to you?
So I think if I have to decode that word and lay it out in a more simpler manner, it would mean me feeling comfortable in uh, talking about my personal emotions. That is, if I feel sad or I feel annoyed or I feel happy, either way, I'm able to talk about it openly to somebody. If I'm in a state of doubt or confusion, I don't take the onus on my own self and I kind of reach out to people, ask for help and support, and process whatever situation, dilemma more efficiently.
Mm. Okay. Earlier you mentioned, is it my nature or is it that I'm just overwhelmed and cannot do that?
Yeah, that's what I notice.
Mm. What is your nature, Saravjot?
Mm. I think I am the kind of person who comes from a space of being able to of being very independent, whether it's in thought or actions. And I think that's the reason it kind of clashes with the need to be vulnerable. Because somewhere I feel that I link being vulnerable to a way that shows that, I'm kind of getting dependent on somebody else to process through whatever I'm going through.
Mm. And what is making this vulnerability important right now?
Mhm. I think I'm clear about that. That what's making it important now is that I'm kind of exhausted processing everything on my own. So it becomes too much of thought and emotion to carry sometimes. It becomes an impediment in my productivity. It's an energy drainer in terms of I begin to express this in terms of getting irritated, um, distant, weirdly quiet. Yeah.
Mm. So there is this independence on one side, and then the other emotions that crop up when you are processing it all on your own. Yeah. So
Yeah.
where is the balance then between these two that you can achieve?
I think that is what I want to explore. Probably I'm not aware or I'm not able to reach that balance is where this imbalance is becoming evident.
And how are you feeling right now as you share all this?
I think I'm feeling a sense of comfort because I'm talking about it. Uh, I'm unburdening. So, so it's making me feel that, yes, there is an understanding that I could get. and it could become beneficial for me on keeping or trying to achieve that balance.
Mm. So how would you like to feel by the end of this session?
I think I want to have that clarity. So I want to feel, in terms of feeling, if I have to describe it, maybe it's the feeling you have. I don't know what word to use, but the feeling one would have when they have clarity about something and they're able to understand that where is the balance between the two ways that I am being. What does that balance look like?
From a place of comfort that you're in now, because you are sharing all this, to achieving clarity by the end of the session, what would you like to address to bridge this gap?
I think that I want to start by focusing on that what is actually this gap. And then maybe I will know what that bridge would look like.
You mentioned balance, gap, these things right now. So
Mhm.
we've been in this conversation for nearly 12 minutes. What would you like to focus on that is meaningful for you to achieve by the end of the session?
I think I want to focus on exploration today. So maybe I'm not looking for a concrete takeaway, Shailja, because I really don't know. Even when I'm trying to think, I'm hitting a dead end. So and I also somewhere have this understanding that looking for a solution on what can change or flip that vulnerability aspect in just a 45 minutes conversation is not really something which is achievable for me. So maybe I want to spend this time just exploring, that what's making this, maybe answer a couple of questions like what is making it important for me to experience vulnerability now? What is this gap, which I'm seeing when you are playing back to me the two aspects of my personality. So just exploration. I
Hmm.
want, maybe if I'm able to get answers to these questions or even get a headway, that would be a good investment of my time.
So what does that headway look like?
The headway to me is the answer emerging. So I've lived all these years. So why has vulnerability never felt so important? Why is it important now?
Hmm.
And the gap that you are just, I don't know what the real question you asked me, but
Hmm.
played back to me these two scenarios which I spoke about in a very crisp manner. And when you were saying that, I could actually see that gap. What is that
Hmm.
gap really about?
Hmm. So if I were to play back both the questions that I raised, one was that there's independence as part of your nature, and then there is this processing on your own, which arouses so many emotions, such as energy drain and stuff like that. So, where would you seek a balance between the two? Was one question. And the other question was that you're feeling a sense of comfort to, to really talk about this topic. And then there is the clarity that you want by the end of the session. So,
Mm.
how would you overcome that gap
Yeah.
or bridge that gap? So, there are two things that are there in front of you. What would your goal be for this session to seek that headway that you're looking for?
So my goal is just being able to answer either or both of these questions that I ask myself. What is making vulnerability important for me now? And what is that gap all about? What lies there? So if I have answers to at least one of these questions, it would be a good thing for me today.
So, which one do you want to pick?
So I just wanted to be a free, open exploration. I don't want to restrict myself to just think about one question because maybe I get a clarity about the other one sooner.
Mm. Okay, let's go further then. Maybe we come up with the answer to one goal at least.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
one question at least.
Yeah.
So, when you think about these questions, what is coming up for you?
I think one is that I have already processed, I mean, I've thought out, I've reflected
Mm.
considerably
Mhm.
before coming to the awareness that of this word vulnerability. And it became more profound for me because somewhere during a session with my mentor, it came up to my notice that it was also impacting my presence uh, in the interactions I do with my clients.
Mm.
And when I took back that awareness and reflected further and went back to a couple of conversations with the clients, I realized that it was true. And that is what made me, you know, it made me feel that it was important to talk about it, to process it, to understand it better.
Mm. So, if you were to process this vulnerability, not as independently as you would like it to be, or, you know, take support from people if you need to, how would things change for you?
Repeat the question. I'm sorry, Shailaja. Today my attention is a little shaky.
No
I'm
worries.
sorry. Can you just repeat the question?
Yeah. So, if you were to um, process this vulnerability, uh, maybe less independently, yeah, how would things change for you?
I think it would give me that feeling of shared labor, right? So it would be like, I've divided my burden.
Mm.
Whereas, interestingly, right now, the thought I have is always that why do I need to burden the other person? They may be going through a lot. So why do they need an extra burden if I tell them about what I am going through?
Mm.
So maybe I want to, you know, undo this thought or flip this thought.
Mm.
And I want to be thinking that if I share it, it divides whatever I'm feeling.
Mm. I sense that you are protecting someone else's interest as you do this.
I am
Yeah.
always the other person.
Mm. So, what values are coming into play here?
I think that I'm just being very compassionate to the other person. So I have always operated from a space of being very compassionate, always thinking more about the other person than my own self. And that is the value which is overpowering. And maybe in the long run, I think I've shared this with you in a previous conversation also, that there are times when those values is something I don't use for my own growth. And maybe it's the same situation and scenario now also when it comes to being vulnerable. While I'm allowing the other people to be vulnerable in the space I'm offering, out of compassion, I mean, being driven by my value of compassion, I'm somehow not using that value of compassion towards myself and stopping myself from getting burdened with other people's emotions. So actually, I think what's happening is, Shailja, that the overwhelm is stemming from the fact that I'm processing my own and I'm also taking on an extra load from others. And that's kind of like doubling up everything that's in my head.
Mm. So how would you lessen this load for yourself?
Interestingly, there are only two ways. One is that I'd stop listening to others, which is not going to be possible always,
Mm.
uh, especially in the profession that I am, not possible.
Mhm.
And also in some of the relationships which are really important for me, I can't do it. So the only alternative left is that I too begin learning to be vulnerable.
Yeah. What else?
Can't think of anything else.
Okay. How will you begin learning to be vulnerable then?
I think I will have to uh, make it an agenda for myself because it is something which will not come naturally to me. So maybe one of the ideas that's coming up for me is that I can pick a person with whom I feel most comfortable sharing.
Mhm.
So it has to be either my sister or my daughter, one of these. And I can tell them in advance that this is a new skill I have to develop, a new muscle. So I need to tell them, I need to be vulnerable to tell them that this is a skill I have to build. And this is where I'm going to need them to be very patient and very open for me, very
Mm.
compassionate towards me.
Mm. What about the value that uh, of being self-compassionate that you said, which you don't have towards yourself? How will that play out in this scenario?
I think when I decide to be learning how to be vulnerable, I'm already taking a step towards that compassion because I know I'm very clear about how this being vulnerable helps me become a better person, somebody who's more present, and somebody, because I will not be showing that overwhelm, expressing it in my behavior, which is happening right now. So that is what I think will change.
Mm. Okay. Saravjot, how will you use some of your strengths to help you uphold the self-compassion?
Mhm. Losing compassion towards myself. So I think that, Shailaja, I'll have to do some deeper digging, because what I'm realizing is that if I just walk this path with this word vulnerable and try to do something about it, it's not going to bring me much.
Mhm.
Uh, Probably what I need to think and be clear about is that when are the times when I wish I was really vulnerable? What are those moments?
Mhm.
Uh, or if I can be more specific, maybe what are those moments which push me to a situation of overwhelm, and I start to think that I wish I could talk about this to somebody.
Mhm.
So somewhere I have to begin with that.
Mhm.
Maybe one way is that, these people that I've already identified, these two women in my life, maybe I just kind of go back and tell them that this is something which is not happening for me and I'm going to need your support.
Mhm.
So use the value of compassion in accepting that you are not vulnerable, but you want to be.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So we're now nearly 27, 28 minutes into the conversation. What is your meaningful takeaway for you today?
I think when I started the conversation, I said that I just want to explore. Maybe if I'm able to get answers to these two questions that I asked myself, that what is it to be vulnerable? What is making it so important for me to be vulnerable?
Mm.
So I guess that I'm already moving towards a clarity. So even at that time, I knew what would be meaningful for me if I have clarity, or, maybe just a headway towards answers. So I think from where I started when we initiated the conversation to where I am now, I see considerable clarity as to, I know that what what makes me give a vulnerable space to others, but not be vulnerable myself. That is clear. I also have clarity on why is being vulnerable so important for me now.
Mhm.
It's because I'm in a profession where I'm also absorbing a lot of emotions of my clients.
Mhm.
I may be not attaching myself to it, but in some way they are impacting me when I'm in a conversation. And probably all of that has to go and be processed somewhere. It doesn't mean that, I'm carrying and talking about what I'm discussing with my clients. No, not at all. It's about me
Mhm.
being in a better place to let go and lighten myself up. And that can only happen by being vulnerable. And for me, the definition of vulnerability is being comfortable discussing about how you are feeling, specifically that.
Yeah. Okay. So you are moving towards clarity on the questions that were raised. And you're also finding your answers for vulnerability. Why is it important to you? And furthermore, that you need the support from people so that you are not going through the emotions that you do go through when you cannot be vulnerable. Yeah, which is anger and all of that. So as I play this back to you, what comes up for you now at this juncture of the conversation?
I think two things are coming up. One is that because I'd already done some reflection on this aspect. I was clear as the conversation moved that it's not possible to become vulnerable in one conversation. And I did not want to put that as a takeaway for myself because it wouldn't feel me. It's very clear.
Mhm,
But at the same time, what I'm also realizing is that I'm somehow clear about what does being vulnerable mean to me. So it could mean different things to different people. So for me, it's about being able to talk to some people around me in my circle of friends or family
mhm,
and unburden myself. So
mhm,
I have that clarity now.
mhm. So how will you know that you've got what you want, which is unburden yourself?
Hmm. I think the fact that, when I'm trying to, when I'm thinking about, or I'm trying to feel that compassion towards me, when I am saying that for me, vulnerability means to be able to talk, I'm trying to feel that compassion, which I show
Mhm,
others. How would that feel to me? So when I'm
mhm,
trying to feel that, it's a kind of a joy. It's a kind of a joyful feeling, that you are being kind to yourself. I'm being kind to myself.
mhm.
That is what I'm feeling right now.
Wonderful. And where does that you being a burden on someone else fit in?
I think I don't want to be a burden on someone else, but I just want to be in a space where I just share without any agenda.
Mm,
I mean, it's just so, while I've been doing all this talking, I've also been trying to notice that when is it that I just sit with my sister or with my daughter and just kind of share, just be in the moment and just talk about uh, what my day has looked like, what are the experiences, emotional
mhm,
experiences I've had. I don't do that often. It's very rare.
mhm.
Yeah. And I think that is somewhere kind of, just filling up the space inside me.
Mm,
And I'm
mm,
also getting a very clear understanding that when I begin to unburden, when I begin to be vulnerable, I will empty space from within me. And I can fill in this empty space with a lot of other things which can benefit me and my relationships.
mhm. Well, I want to acknowledge you for your deep self-awareness that you're bringing to the table today, going through the different places of your mind and sharing so openly with me. Ramesh is so being so vulnerable with me. Mhm.
Yeah,
So
actually doing
that
that.
that said, uh, where are you now with whatever you've learned so far?
I think the clarity that I wanted to have and the answers to those two questions that I wanted, I have those. I have the clarity.
Mhm,
I'm sensing that uh, how it would feel to not be choked up to here, to have an empty space in the heart, which I can fill with compassion for myself. So I have what I wanted to achieve.
Okay, so what are your actions going to be with these insights now?
I think what's coming to my mind, first of all, is that I want to make it like a daily ritual. So, it's like maybe when I'm practicing my breathing or mindfulness, I make it a part of that. Or when I'm saying my prayers, I start being vulnerable in the presence of God, in the presence of the prayers I'm saying. I start somewhere. And it has to start with a daily ritual because I know that it will not come naturally. There'll be days I won't remember, I'll forget, or I'll choose not to remember. So let me begin from there. I don't want to really have some very large action plans and stuff around it, because it's more to do with personal change, and that is not easy. It's always unsettling. So I want to begin with this small step and then see how it unfolds.
Mhm. So, how will you stay on track, Saravjot, with these little actions that you're going to take?
Daily check-ins. If I'm making it a daily ritual, then and it will come up as I do my reflections. At least I try to do reflections thrice a week, so maybe it should show up somewhere there.
Mhm. And what challenges do you foresee?
I'm foreseeing a challenge because it's going to be unsettling. It's going to be uh, me trying to do something which I've never tried before. But I don't think I'll let that challenge come in my way or, become a huge roadblock, because the person that I reach out to, I will tell them to be my accountability partner as well. I will tell them to check in with me on, what's happening in my life and what's going on and what is it that I want to share and feel lighter.
Mm. You already identified your sister and your daughter as the two people who are going to support you in this process. Who else or any other resources?
To use my own resource, my value of commitment, that like I stay committed to other uh, areas and other things that I have to do,
Mhm.
this also has to become something that I have to be committed to.
Mhm. Mm. And when will you start, Saravjot?
It's Friday today, so maybe this weekend itself.
Yeah. Okay. How will you summarize and close this session for yourself?
So this conversation has helped me widen my horizon of thought. Firstly, in terms of understanding better that values, if they serve me as a person, they will only continue to add to my growth. It has given me clarity on why vulnerability is important for me and what it would look like when I'm being vulnerable. What does it mean to me? Which I said was to be able to talk. I've been able to identify who will be my accountability partners and how it can become a daily ritual. And I think I have the answer and the clarity that I was looking for. So it's actually making me feel uh, somewhat that sense of ease. And I'm considering this conversation also as one of those moments where I'm being vulnerable and talking about it. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that is how I would want to summarize the conversation.
Wonderful, Saravjot. Really appreciate your being vulnerable today.
Thank
I
you.
feel humbled and honored.
Thank you, Shailaja.
And I really want to wish you the best in your endeavors now, to be compassionate to yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and space.